Hockey is a way of life for our neighbors to the north in Canada. But here and there, compared to other sports like basketball and football, there are far fewer black players. According to the Associated Press, more than 90% of players, coaches, and officials in the NHL are white. But what many people don't know, the first professional hockey league was made up of all black players in Canada. That's the topic of the documentary Black Ice, playing now in AMC theaters. Michelle Miller recently met up with director Hubert Davis to discuss the history and the struggle for players in the sport today.
You don't skate?
No, I don't. But
you should.
I should.
A huge understatement.
I never felt this draw to hockey.
Considering Hubert Davis directed the untold history of skating's rough and tumble sport in the documentary Black Ice.
So why did I make a hockey film?
Yeah, why did you?
It's such an interesting way into subject matter. I didn't think a documentary on systemic racism was really, that entertaining eye catcher that people were going to gravitate towards. But if we took something like the sport of hockey and dissected the history of it and how it works and the black contribution to it, and then also what are the systemic issues that are going on today, it was a way in.
I'm looking to my left and to my right, and my equipment looks different, so you kind of become insecure.
Through the lens of black athletes themselves.
And then you realize that you're the only person of color.
I was perceived to be uncoachable.
I'm not calling that a blind spot. That's a gaping hole in our game.
Those familiar with the game might know its Canadian origins, or that its premier institution, the National Hockey League, started there in 1917. What might come as a surprise, it wasn't the first pro league on record. That distinction belongs to the Colored Hockey League of the Maritimes, established in 1895 in Nova Scotia. Something brought to light by two historians who wrote the book on it.
When we were researching this history, there was about 13 teams. Some played one season, others played for a decade.
Establishing a contribution 63 years before Willie O'Ree became the first black player to suit up in the NHL.
I was shocked to learn as well. How is it that this hasn't been more integrated into the storytelling of the origins of the sport? I felt like, wow, this needs to be a big part of what the documentary became.
The film debuted last year at the Toronto Film Festival, showcasing athletes from past and present, from P.K. Subban to Soroya Tinker.
I stood up to make a joke, and one of my teammates quickly replied, "Shut up, you stupid," and proceeded to call me the N-word. That definitely led to me kind of questioning my place in hockey.
We're really talking at the beginning about more blatant incidents of racism that we understand.
There's a lot of pain in this documentary. How did you get them to open up about a subject matter which is fraught with such triggering moments?
I think they wanted to speak. I think they were ready to speak. And I think there was strength in numbers.
I don't know how many times I've gotten called something and everyone's like, oh, it's just one person, they're ignorant. Well, then why has this happened to me? I can't even count the amount of times this happened to me. It's a cultural problem within the sport of hockey.
A problem political scientist Deborah Thompson says needs to change as a whole.
Blatant racism is easier to pinpoint. There are actions, there are verbal assaults. You can point to it. It's very clearly, you are called the N-word. You cannot solve systemic issues with individual action. You cannot understand racism as only individualistic.
Through it all, the athletes stick with the sport for the love of the game.
I was doing what I love to do, so I wasn't going to let anyone, tear me down.
A devotion to a sport many associate with Canada has a long-standing appeal in the United States as well.
The Vegas Golden Knights have won the Stanley Cup.
Of the 32 NHL teams, 25 of them are right here in the U.S. And that attraction is growing in communities of color. Tennessee State University became the first historically black college and university to start a hockey team.
TSU has a tremendous legacy in athletics. Adding ice hockey to our programs will start a new chapter and build upon that legacy.
And youth leagues are cropping up in urban centers with rinks like this one at the Essex County Cody Arena in New Jersey.
I looked out, there were tons of young people of all diversities, all ethnic groups. I mean, do you think ice is changing?
I think it has the potential to change. It's opening up. We just have to create the avenues for that to happen.
I see you lacing up.
We finally managed to convince Davis just that, something his crew, including executive producers LeBron James and Drake, could not, to stake his claim on the ice.
What are we accomplishing
I think
here?
trying something new, you know, I think that's the thing is when you see young people out here for the first time, they kind of fall in love with it, you know?
Yeah.
Like I saw a lot of that.
Are you falling in love with it?
You know what? This is great. If you just stay with me the whole time, then I'm good. I'm totally good.
You're good?
You guys are kings and queens, and you can do whatever you guys want to do. This is our sport. So don't let anybody ever tell you this is not your sport, because this is exactly where you're supposed to be. Exactly.
I love that. LeBron James and Drake couldn't get him on the ice, but Michelle Miller could.
Michelle did pretty well too.
She did, yeah. She looked like she was pretty comfortable
Michelle.
on there.
I mean, ice hockey is, you have to have so much skill to skate, first of all, but also play the game. It's incredible to watch. I would watch in DC at the Caps game. So great that they're showing history and stories and making it more inclusive.
I like what he said about the documentary and some of the people featured in it. They wanted to speak. They were ready to speak.
Yeah.
And so I'll check it out. It looks interesting. Right? All right.